Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I made this fun country home card using the country home stamp set and our 2019 in colors. So let me set this aside and we'll get started. I'm going to be starting with the stamping of the focal point on this card, and I am going to ink up my milk jug here with my Memento Tuxedo Black, and then I'm going to ink up this two-step part with the fall flowers and the cotton pods and stamp that on top. I like to hold 1, 2, 3 when I'm stamping with the photopolymer to allow that ink to seep into the paper. At this point I am going to start by coloring using my Cajun Craze. I'm going to start with the light Cajun Craze, and I am going to color these flowers here quickly. And as you can see, I'm kind of using the side of my blends tip and laying that color in. Light is always better with our Stampin' Blends. I'm using the bullet tip end here to do these little berries in the dark Cajun Craze. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to bring in my dark old olive, and once again using that flare tip because this is a larger area, and a light touch I'm going to color in these little balls and the petal underneath it. And then I'm going to bring in the bullet tip here and add some color to these leaves in the center where the shading is. And I'm doing this just quickly and randomly, focusing a little bit on where the shadows would fall. And then I'm going to bring in my flare tip, and with a light touch I am going to finish those leaves. I'm not doing a lot of blending here, I'm just adding the color to the image. And the stems quickly. And now I'm ready to move on to the milk jug. So I am going to use my dark Pretty Peacock. I just love this shade. And I'm going to add the little spots here on the jug where it looks like it's been patinaed, and I am going to also do the neck here along with a little bit down the sides. Now you'll want to work quickly with our Stampin' Blends so that you can blend things. If you're working on larger areas, you can do smaller sections if you would prefer to keep that edge wet. We're going to be cutting part of this jug off, so I'm not overly worried about the bottom here, but I am going to blend that in and then do a quick swish of color going down to about the halfway point. There we go. I've got my coloring done with my Stampin' Blends, and I am ready to work on the cotton blossoms. Okay, I've cut my image out using my stitch shape oval, and I did this because once I do the step for the cotton blossoms, I do not want to run it through my die cutting machine again. I am using our Snowfall Accents Puff Paint, and I've shaken it well, and I'm removing the cover, and I am going to lightly put this puff paint onto my image where these cotton pods are. Now here's the tip for the puff paint. You want to make sure that you're not squeezing this bottle too hard. Number one, it comes out fairly easily and it's fairly thin. Once you get the hang of this, it'll be a lot of fun to work with, but to start with you want to go slowly. So I've added the puff paint here to my images, and I'm going to recap that bottle. And then I'm going to bring in my heat tool. Now I suggest starting your heat tool up high because this liquid is thin. You don't want it to skitter across your cardstock and leave a streak. And then as you go, you can bring your heat tool down and slowly get closer to your cardstock. I'm moving this around so that I'm heating the whole area, and we're going to watch the magic. Okay, I'm finished now. I wanted to make sure it was nice and dry looking and didn't have any shine. That way I know the puff paint is finished. So I've got that piece done and I am ready to start stamping again, this time with my sentiment. I am bringing in my triple banner punch and punching the end. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Now this sentiment happens to come from the Itty Bitty Birthday stamp set, since I wanted to create a birthday card. But you could also use a sentiment from the Country Home stamp set. There's a hello and enjoy, along with a happy harvest blessing. That's quite lovely. I've got that stamped onto my strip of Whisper White here, and now I'm ready to start assembling. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is take my Pretty Peacock cardstock, and I am going to use my bone folder to fold that so that I've got a nice crease. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of my Terracotta Designer Series paper here from the 2019 In Color paper stack. And I'm going to adhere that down. And then I've got this strip of Pretty Peacock that I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of. And I'm going to set this about a couple of squares just below dead center of my card front. And of course this is great because you can use those checks to line things up and make sure they're straight. And then I'm going to add a little adhesive to the back of the sentiment. Now I'm not going all the way to the end, so that if I need to, I can trim it because I do not want it to stick out from under my image here. I've got my coordinating oval cut out of the Pretty Peacock, and I use the layering ovals dies for that. And I'm going to adhere this stitched oval image on top of that. And then I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals onto the back and remove the protective paper. I'm going to bring in my card here and I'm going to make sure that it lays down, and I'm going to straddle the end of that and line it up here and then press. There we go. It's that quick and easy. So let me show you the original again. If you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.